the Confederacy side, he had farms in Missouri and Texas, and after the war he came out here, and his intention was to build a mountain retreat. So at the time, and some of the early pictures in the hallway show you, there was nothing around here. He bought 35 acres and opened this up as a hotel. It was designed by some very famous architects. The architects were Samuel and Joseph Cather Newsom. They're well known in Victorian houses. If anybody has been to Eureka and seen the Carson Mansion up there, that was sort of their ultimate thing. Now, there are a few Newsom houses that are still standing in the Los Angeles area. The Walker House in San Dimas, which was just completely remodeled. I mean, they had 100 people working on that thing for 2 years. It's now reopened. There's a restaurant out there. That's a Newsom house. The Sessions House on the USC campus is also a Newsom house, and there's one on Carroll Avenue, to my knowledge. The reason I mention the Walker House and this house is that originally these were sort of railroad hotels. That is, people would come out from the Midwest during the winter, and the thought was they'd come up to a hotel like this. The Walker House was right next to the railroad. If anybody's read the history of Sierra Madre, we had a character named Uncle Henry that used to have a horse-drawn carriage, and he would meet people down at the Santa Anita train station.
Was that Tricross?
That was another family.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I'm not sure. That may have been his last name. Everybody called him Uncle Henry, as far as I could tell. And he had a predilection on 4th of July to set off dynamite. And he's apparently a character. Anyhow.
Are you sure that wasn't a Pinney?
So this house was built by Albert, and he, as I said, he was a farmer, and so originally he thought he'd make a go of it by planting citrus across the street. By the way, a little trivia for everybody. Does anybody know what this street was originally called?
Lima.
No, actually when he built it, it was called Markham Street. And it was Markham for California governor. But apparently there were more Democrats in town than Republicans at the time, so it became Lima. Anyhow, so he planted crops. He had a vineyard here. That didn't work out so well for him. The hotel didn't work out so well for him. In 1888, there was a land bust, and he sold the hotel to his son for $1. So it was run by, as near as I can tell, somebody asked me this earlier, there was a couple named the Collinses, and they ran this as a bed and breakfast for about 30 or 40 years at the turn of the century. She was well known. The apartment in the back, which is where our dining room now is actually twice as big, and it was a ballroom, and she was known to give ballroom dance lessons here. Before the city was formed, the Board of Commissioners used to have its city meetings here in the house. So a little trivia for us all. People have asked me, I actually have some pictures of the Pinneys. This is the original family, and Albert is the older gentleman. He was originally descended of 5 Scottish brothers that came to the United States in 1620. Here are the debonair, socialite Pinney ladies. And people have asked me, in the course of doing the remodeling that and here's a picture of how the house actually looked with the vineyards around.
Right, actually. There are vineyards.
It's in the hallway.
Yeah, there's another one in the hallway. And actually what happened to Albert, so you know, is that he wasn't a loser. He hooked up with Spalding, who had a house that's about 3 houses over that's been reconstructed. And they proceeded to subdivide. So all the lots around here in these 35 acres are how he made his fortune. He then opened a grocery in Duarte and passed away. But he originally came out here at age 70, so he was quite elderly at the time. People have asked me, did we find anything interesting? Walls can talk and that sort of thing. And one of the things that we found in the house was a letter. And the letter was written to someone at Hotel Green in 1888. And it's a really interesting letter if you decipher it. It's in very floral, formal language at the time. And it was this fellow apologizing to some lady for not showing up. But I suspect since we had the envelope here that the letter was never delivered. This year I thought, I was going through this and I thought, well, I wonder who this guy was. Maybe he was somebody important. And so I Googled him. And sure enough, the guy was a U.S. Senator. His name was Alan Levering. He was a senator from Ohio. He stayed in Pinney House. He was a contemporary of Abraham Lincoln. And as a matter of fact, he was sort of known for, apparently in Washington, D.C., across from the Senate, there was a well-known bar where the senators would meet and do their deals. And when Lincoln was assassinated, he was the one that proposed that the flag fly at half-masted above Congress. And the problem was he hung it upside down. And the thought was that the senators were all pretty drunk at the time. And so that became actually, as you know, the flag flies upside down at half-mast when the president's assassinated. So anyhow, that's a little trivia for that.